Hello and welcome to another episode of Inspired Living. My name is Verena, and today I have the great pleasure of bringing to you Delia Roughley. Talking about Delia, who she is, what she does is, on the one hand, it's really easy, and on the other hand, it's not easy at all. It's really easy because for me, Delia is just the essence of joy. So everything she does, I don't know, it comes across really joyful. And she also is for me a great model of living an inspired life and a guided life. Not so easy is for me to explain what she actually does, because Delia is grounded in so many different modalities and she's just doing her thing. And what I can say is that it's really helpful, and just being in contact with her, that is already uplifting. And that's also what I found in our conversation. So I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. Every time that I'm in contact with you, I get this really nice, everything is okay vibe, you know? And especially in the times that we're having right now, where a lot of people don't feel so okay, I find that really reassuring and just beautiful. So how do you describe what you are actually doing?
Well, I'm doing life my way. That's for a start. So I do what makes me feel joy most of the time. And this is just something I've decided to do at some level, as I don't listen to the radio, I don't listen to news, and I don't really attract people who are talking about the things that people are very concerned about at the moment on a world scale. I tend to talk about what they're concerned about in their own lives right now, which could be things from anxiety, health issues, troublesome thoughts, all of these things. And I suppose for myself, I'm aligning myself with what I feel is my own true north. And that is kind of what I want for other people as well. I can put it that way. So I know that you sort of said people around may be ordinary or living ordinary lives, but in my mind, every single person is extraordinary. And they are not always aware of it. And that's part of what I get to do when I work, is to see who they are. And I can see through, I just got a sort of image of a Sleeping Beauty situation, a forest of thorns, all the things that they put between themselves and who they truly are. And quite a lot of people, I think, are sleeping through their lives. And to find out, to give themselves the kiss, to wake themselves up to who they truly are. I've never thought of it that way before, but that's kind of how I feel. And I've had some sleepwalking, difficult situations in my life, and it doesn't mean to say they're all over, but finding that pathway to what lights me up is one thing, living that life, and then I would love to help other people to find their own path, their own direction, the thing that lights them up, and clear the obstacles along the way. That's kind of how I feel about what I'm doing.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I can so relate to that. Because it's what, what I like for myself and what I also want to share with people. So it's so wonderful that we are talking right now. So people know that, there is more available. And I love how you put it, that everyone is extraordinary. And of course, you're totally right. Everyone is unique. How, in how we came to who we are, and in the present moment. And it's so
You know, that's wonderful. So how do you help people to find their own true north?
Well, I think it's there's more than one way, but if one is aligned with the things that bring one joy and appreciation, and not so focused on the things that we see as our own limitations, or even the limitations that we see around us, that's really helpful. So all of us who find that way kind of show that's possible. But then if I'm working with people, and I use kinesiology, which is muscle response testing, but kind of so much more than that, and there's so many aspects to it. So I use kinesiology and intuition, and also the person themselves brings who they are to me, even if they've covered it up with fears and insecurities and all the things we do, all the patterns we decide for ourselves at some level, subconsciously, they bring it all. But I'd like to, what I do with kinesiology is to hopefully bring them to a point where they see themselves, their absolute perfect, beautiful light, the brilliance that's like the star in the sky that shines through the darkness. That's what I want to be able to do for everybody. And who comes my way, even if I just meet somebody in the street, it would be lovely just to give them that essence of who they are, just by hearing what they have to say and letting them express themselves. And I find it happens quite a lot with strangers. I walk a lot, as you know, in Richmond Park, which is near to me, and I meet the most magical people, as well as the most beautiful animals. I meet magical people all the time and have conversations. And, you know, in those conversations, I learn a bit more about who they are, and I think they do too. So, yes, I use kinesiology, which has something called muscle response testing. Behind me, you can see I have oracle cards. I sometimes use those. Yeah, sometimes crystals have powers that kind of illuminate where you need to clear stuff, or what you need to bring into your life, the recognition. But I think that everybody has everything themselves. They are their own precious jewel. It's just that they bury it underneath shoulds and oughts and what ifs and maybes, and I'm not good enough to do what it is I'd love to do. So I like to see if I can help people in that way.
Oh, that's so beautiful to hear. So, you know, I'm wondering, how is it for you? Have you always seen it this way? Have you always seen life that way?
No, of course not. No, no. I've had a nice collection of poor me's and what ifs, as one always does. But I think there always has been in me a capacity for joy, which even in things that aren't so great, experiences that aren't so great, has been able to come back again or come through. But I've had periods of time in my childhood. I had great parents, but you know, there were things that they did that I didn't react well to, particularly my lovely mother. But all these things, I think really, it's not what happens to you. And I know this has been said a million times, it's not what happens to you, it is how you deal with it, what you see about it, what the learning is, because there is no such thing as a perfect life. We're not here to live a perfect life. We're here to live our best life, and our right is to be happy. That's our birthright. But finding our way to that does involve some challenges and overcoming things and learning in all the overcoming that we do who we truly are, who we've maybe not recognized before, what we need to leave behind. And blaming other people, I think, is a big thing to leave behind. Yeah. So yes, no, I could tell you things about my life quite happily, but yes, I was married. My husband died after just over a year of marriage, and I only knew him for 3 years, but he left an enormous impact and a massive footprint in my life. Extraordinarily crazy and fun and amazing person who did love me completely. And so that was quite a challenge. And on top of that, I went into a state of euphoria. And over the next 3 years, I went into a state of deep depression, which I recognized. The euphoria was just a great deal of fun. But I was diagnosed probably after 3 years with bipolar disorder, and then had medical intervention for that. And luckily, after a period of time, very straightforward. I didn't have to take loads of drugs. I just had to take one very simple thing in a low dose, and it worked for me, and I stuck with it. But I now am not in need of and have no medication. I never need to take anything pharmaceutical at all. It's not that I would never say I would, but I'm fortunate that I don't. And yes, I've learned an awful lot with all of the experience, and then developed a passion for learning a healing in many ways, which, yes, has just been a wonderful expansion in my life. Yeah.
Wow. So this kind of healing that you are talking about, you know, because healing is such a big word in a way. I think I would call it because I have experienced a session with you, and I don't know, you know, from the outside, I would call it something like intuitive, energetic work. So how would you describe it?
Well, it is. I kind of studied to get a framework really to work with. I had no idea. I'd experienced kinesiology back in 1989 because my lovely husband had gone for all sorts of what were classified as alternative or complementary therapies. Before I met him, he'd had cancer twice. First time treated with quite drastic chemotherapy, radiation surgery. Second time he went to all complementary therapies and cleared it. So I met him after his second lot of cancer, which he had completely cleared himself. So he was quite explorative, and I was really on board. I've always liked adventure. I've always fascinated by people and different things. So I tried lots of different things. I mean, I was in extremely good health, but I was still fascinated. So I tried iridology, reflexology, homeopathy, colonic irrigation, and also kinesiology, which was really nice. But as I was in such good health, I was a bit surprised by the number of supplements I was being given for it. I kind of stopped it because I thought I didn't really need to rattle. Mm-hmm. So when 2013, I went on my first retreat. I had been into fitness before, but I kind of lost that. And I just went on a retreat to a place in Turkey, which did juicing and fitness. This is it. When something comes along that I think makes me go, yes, I do it. And that was that. And I love traveling anyway. It was so inspirational and I absolutely loved it. And but I found myself in complete meltdown and tears on an early morning trampoline jumping class which had classical music, and I just knew it was to do with my father, who had died 7 years before, but I couldn't think what it was to do with. And one of the other ladies there said, you know, kinesiology can help with the emotions, and I hadn't experienced that before. So I went along to a place she recommended and had a session, and within half an hour identified exactly what it was connected to my father, which was the pain and suffering I'd witnessed before he died, which had struck in my energetic system, and was released, and could totally tell the difference, because before that session and after the breakdown, as it were, just the crying, when I thought of my dad, I was just very tearful, and afterwards I was just joyful for having had him in my life. So yes, I went from that, and I told friends of mine about kinesiology and how great it was, and I kept going. But then the two of my friends who had never had the treatment went off to learn it, and I thought, hang on a minute, that's kind of my thing. And that's when I started to learn it and discover all of this treasure of learning and interest and the possibilities. And when learning, you do it yourself and you witness all these changes in people. And I just thought, this is magic. This is just extraordinary. So I hadn't had that much healing to do, except for after my husband died, and I went the more sort of conventional route of having taking a drug and seeing a therapist, which was great. I had no issues with seeing a therapist. But when I discovered after my retreat, and physically I was changing, emotionally I kind of went through the roof, and I wanted to do everything when I came back from that retreat. I changed what I ate, I changed what I did, I stopped drinking coffee, I just went completely over the top with changing things in my life. And I continued, I went again that same year. And then when I started learning kinesiology, that just opened up a huge viscera of excitement and learning and things I could do. And I figured out how to do it for myself, which I was told on the course, no, you can't do it for yourself. But I figured out how to do it. And I read inspiring books, and I started to listen to Abraham Hicks and read, all the sort of Hay House books and so on. And then I went, a friend of mine, Amy, who I studied with, she mentioned when she was with me, oh, I've had my soul blueprint done. And I thought, yes, again, rather like the retreat, that's for me. And I spoke to Claire Walker, who is extraordinary, and immediately knew this was for me. So while I was doing, when I started learning kinesiology, I also was going on an intuitive development journey. I've had a degree of intuition. I was always the person that people came to talk about their problems. And I'd sometimes think, well, why do they think I'll know the answer? But I know about myself that I'm very honest. And if I don't know something, I say so. What's the point of making stuff up? And that in listening to their stories, I could see the bumps in the road, the breaks in where their belief was and where they were. And so I kind of had that, and I didn't know I really had it. And also I was also told by somebody else that I'm not judgmental, which when you're you don't know what you are really. You don't sort of define yourself as that, because that's just the way you are. So that turned out to be quite useful as well. Because people can tell you things without fear of being judged, which is lovely. So long story about it all, but everything I've done and everything I've been through is useful in my life. And I think everybody can say the same. Whatever their experience is, has made and helped them be who they are now, and will help them to move forward, as long as they don't just sit in a loop. Stay in that loop of, say, being a victim to or blaming everybody else. They can use their journey up to now to move forward from, let go of the stuff that's not helpful. And kinesiology helps with that. And I've been studying something called spectrum healing as well, which I love. And I just use everything that comes to hand. I've made essences from the things that I know will help people just recently. I just love it. It's the world, the life, the nature, everything you have is a treasure trove of things that can heal you and help you. And there's no one way. There's no one size fits all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Just listening to you, it feels already healing, because it's so hopeful, because I get the sense that it doesn't matter where we are right now. There's always, whatever we want to do, there's always support available, around us, like you say, with nature. Like I know your beautiful pictures, and just, looking at your pictures, I'm tearing up already. It's like, wow, there's so much beauty in there. So that's just amazing. No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's important to find what you think is beautiful as well, and enjoy it and love it and experience it and be with it, because there are so many things, and I don't have a lot of it, thankfully, but there are many things that you can choose to look at that are not beautiful and not soul fueling, they're not delighting you, and you can just spend hours sort of staring at something or listening to something that is really not lifting your spirits and filling your soul, when there's so much there that always is available to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that actually brings something to mind, having these many things available, you know. Something that I know from my own life is that often I feel actually overwhelmed because there is so much available, and I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do now? And so, you know, I'm wondering, how do you handle that?
It's something that I have some more learning to do in the handling of, because brilliant, shiny, exciting things, rather like when I first came back from that retreat, it's like there's so much. So I will do a bit of this and run and do a bit of that, and that can be my tendency. It's like, as they say, a child in a sweet shop. It's just overwhelming. But rather wonderfully, the actual recognition of just the abundance of wonderful things is great in itself, but then there's the focus. So if you have any tools or skills and your own intuition is going to govern it far better than any of my intuition, you will know for yourself, or if you have access to any kind of guidance. And muscle response testing is also brilliant for this. You can choose what is in your highest interest, what will serve you best. And you can, it doesn't mean to say you have to let go of the entire sweet shop, but you can choose the sweet that is for you right now in this moment. You can choose the thing that lifts your spirit the most, and you can pay attention to that. And if it's something new to learn, great. If it's something to experience, and I believe for you, horses and animals, you can choose that direction to focus in. And if you start with the thing that lifts your spirits most, other things will come in for you. You will be supported. You will know how supported you are. You will have signs. You will have moments of clarity. You will have things turning up for you. It's a further thing that I'm kind of working on now, which is something called topology. It's not my thing alone, but it is looking at the person as a whole and perfect shape, the shape that can be twisted and turned and created into other shapes, but unbroken, and looking at where the breaks are. But this is also sort of is the true north thing. And if you're looking at your own true north and you're doing the thing that particularly lights you up, it is supported by the universe, especially when you've released limiting beliefs, when you have seen your patterns and acknowledged them and don't want to go back and do them again, when you're aware of it, when you're aware of heading off in a direction that is not helpful to you. So if you have anxiety, you can fuel that by lumping yourself with all the woes and worries in the world and going back to things that have no relation to where you are now. And I know it's very difficult not to do that, but to recognize what it is, breathe through it, find a way, find a positive affirmation if you're up for that, or even, I wish to release the things that hold me back. It's not saying I have done it, but you can actually set the intention to release the things that hold you back from moving forward. Find the things that you need to let go of. And then if you can find the thing that brings you the most joy, you can set off in that direction. You will find you're going the right way. When people step forward out of nowhere and offer you help, when people come up and confirm to you that you're doing the right thing, it happens with synchronicities. It happens with being in the right place at the right time and recognizing it. It happens if you want signs and signals, if you ask for them. Many people like feathers, you know, and they find when they're thinking the right thoughts, one will drift down and be with them. It's just seeing what's out there and letting the universe support you, because that's really what it wants to do. This is one of the things I like about Abraham Hicks or an oracle card, it'll often answer a question for you. And one of the things that is really good to put in your mind is that things are always working out for me. That
Absolutely, yeah.
That faith, that belief, that aspiration, that affirmation, because you have challenges, we all do. You have, but when you've gone the other side of a challenge, you can look back at it, and sometimes you can go, oh, actually, that helped me change my direction. That helped me become the person I am now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my bipolar disorder, certainly, though it, was something I wouldn't really want to go back to, has made me much more safe for people who have any mental disorder to be around, because I don't judge them. I can just let them be wherever they are at the time, because they're busy being very upset or angry or guilty about where they are quite often. And that's, they don't need anyone else to add to that. So from that, I think I'm a safer place to be for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much in there. In what you're saying, it's a treasure trove, really.
But that's what we all are, and that's what we all have. It's just finding a way to see it, really.
Yeah.
And my way is not the only way. There are so many people who have so much to offer, and I've enjoyed listening to them, learning from them. That's the other thing, is finding out what feels true to you as well. So if anything I say resonates with you, if anyone, it's really useful to listen to inspirational people or TED Talks, because there'll be something that you go, yes, I understand that. Yes, that means something to me, that I connect with. And that's really helpful on your journey to help you know which way you're headed and which way you want to go. So there's lots of things out there to be there to guide you and help you.
When I'm listening to you, what comes up for me is that it's a lot about self-awareness, as in what's important for me. And it's all, and that makes that makes life in a way accessible. Like when I know what's important for me, then I don't know, then I can see that overwhelmment is not such a big issue, because there is a lot of information in our age, but it's easier to find my way through when I have my true north, and as you say, there are always challenges along the way, and I would say, well, they are just part of a human life, of any life, really.
Well, if you have any stretching of your topology, your shape, if you have a stretch there, it allows you to grow. It allows you to be more, always allows you to be more. It gives you that opportunity. And it really is up to you to get the perspective to see things as an opportunity. And that's quite difficult, because we all look at our own navels. We look at this, and we don't always look out and see so much more of us that there is. There is so much more of us than your little fingernail, and we can focus on the things that we don't like about ourselves. We can choose to just look at that, but there's so much more to us. And looking at the things that bring you joy is a really good way to start. So I really do think that a gratitude journal is lovely, because it does make you think, what do I appreciate? And it might be about myself, or about where I live, or about the people in my life, or that I can see, I can sing, any of the things that are so wonderful that we have access to, we all have. It's really good to record them and keep notes. Do 3 a day if you like, or more. And it does start you looking in the direction of the things that are good, and takes you slightly more away from the things that you may be attached to or pulled down by. So that, that positive, it gives you the more positive mental attitude. It starts you off in the right direction.
Yeah. And what I also find so interesting about you and how you live your life is that it looks to me like a very guided life, as in that you, how can I say that, you listen to some kind of guidance in a way, and I guess it comes up from, because every time I hear something from you, you have these new ideas, and you, I don't know, you incorporate them in your everyday life. And so,
Well, yes, I'm a bit, well, I was a cook for very many years. So I always loved to collect new and different ingredients, and I'm good at weaving things together in that sense, because I can create something. If I have people around, there's something in me that knows what it is that will benefit the most to eat. And that's part of what I can do, I suppose. It's all done with love and intuition there. I did do an intuitive course, and I don't want to compare myself to anybody else, though I'm aware there are people who hear different voices incredibly clearly. I used to think, oh my goodness, I'm such a genius every now and again, because I'd be saying something, and in the conversation and actually saying it, I'd be going, I didn't know I knew this. And I know this certainly, with certainty. I think it's one of the things that probably is quite helpful, and why people probably ask my opinion, is I can be really confident. If I'm confident about something, I'm confident about it. And it's not that I would argue with anyone about it, but my truth just comes out. And it doesn't, all the things I've been talking to you about, quite a lot of them, I didn't know I knew, or didn't know I felt this way, or and I see things in pictures as well. That's how I often see things, like the sort of Sleeping Beauty thing. So I'll describe what I see, but I know that there's much more than me here. It's just that I think I'm like a radio that tunes into certain voices, but they don't always identify themselves. But I can ask afterwards. Sometimes I ask, well, who is that then? Because I have some guides. I just don't always sort of sit there and go, guidance please, or and get it. Though one of the exercises I have been doing, I have a guide called Ranan, is I take a card or two, whatever I'm guided to do, and I can muscle test this, which is good for the sort of scientist in me, because but if I don't do that, I can feel an uplift. That's what it feels like if I'm choosing the right thing. If I'm saying right, or if somebody says something to me, I think this might be an issue. I have like a, yes, you're on it. It's exactly right. Or they have, the thing is, the people themselves, not me, they have the answers. So when they say, is it this? I go, yes, if it is. Yes, you're on the money. This is exactly right. Because they come to me and they, at some level, know their own answers. I don't want to project my own answers, but they know their own answers. So with the oracle cards, if I feel it, I'll get them out and I'll write down the aspect of the card that's right, that I need to be working with. And then I sit there and I write Ranan's name down. And I get just words to write. I just write what comes out of my head. I check it sometimes if it's gone, you know, is this absolutely right? And I get a yes, and I just write what it is. And I think that whoever or whatever is communicating with me is far cleverer than I am. A lot, and though I quite like to own that I'm not stupid, but I get oh, this is really interesting, and I haven't thought this before. So I'm more, I don't have I think clairaudience. I don't really have clairvoyance. I kind of have a clairsentience, a knowing in that way, and I know what feels right. And I do get sort of stuff that expands something off in a different direction, which is fascinating to me, because I love learning as well. So, and if it's really good, it goes in the toolkit. But quite often things seem to be made up in the moment. So when someone asks what I do, it's so bespoke that I can't really explain a lot of the time. We just go on a journey together. That's what it is. Whatever you bring, we work with. And whatever comes up on, and sometimes somebody will spontaneously say something and it changes the direction we're working in, and we work with whatever is right in the moment.
Oh, wonderful. And you know, when I'm listening to you, I get this question, like, for example, if someone is seeing our chat here, and they think, well, you know, it sounds all so inspiring, but you know, I am stuck in a 9 to 5 job, and I have this set structure, and I have so many responsibilities. Like, how should I, you know, start from here? How can I be, how can I experience more freedom and more joy?
Well, the very first thing they can do without any help from anyone else is to actually decide what it is that brings them joy, you know, and do more of it. Even at work, you can do more of something that brings you joy. You can think about something that brings you joy. It'll put a smile on your face, and then you'll connect better with the people around you if you're in a job with other people. You can do what you're actually doing with as much joy as possible. You know, just find the things that you like and do them. That's the first thing, and you can do that in any life. If you were in prison, you could read inspiring books, if you know what I mean. I'm thinking of a thing I probably wouldn't enjoy very much. So find things that really you like. It can be something creative. I think creativity is amazing. It's so connecting into your inner child and who you were before you had responsibilities. So one of the things you can do is to go back and say, what did I love when I was 5? What did I love doing when I was 4? What lit me up then? Did I love to sing? Did I like to make sandcastles? Did I like to be at the beach? Did I like to climb trees? Did I like to draw? Did I like to paint? Did I like to play games with friends? And all of those things, connect in with that, because that is sort of really who you were before life and friends and teachers and experience clouded that a bit and added layers of things on, and the shoulds and the what ifs and I ought to be. That's another thing to let go of shoulds and oughts. My dad said to my mother, and I remember this as a child, stop bloody oughting, which means, you know, when you are oughting or shoulding, you are doing, you're not doing what you say. I ought to clean the garage. Well, you're not doing it. So what are you doing? You're making yourself feel guilty for something you haven't got the time to do at that moment and isn't really something you really want to be doing. So why do it? Why do that? Because you're giving yourself a hard time. There's no point in doing that. It's not helpful to you. So letting go of that, that's a burden you will give yourself. Letting go of any burdens that are unnecessary for you. Going and doing what you do as joyfully as you can, and finding the time to do the things that light you up. And even if you're at work and you like to do little drawings on a notepad, there's nothing to stop you doing that. While you're on the phone to somebody doing your business, you can draw something, you know, and just connect in with that aspect. It will do good things for you. There's so many other things you could do, but it's finding what is for you, what feels the best thing you can do for yourself in any moment. I mean, it's eating ice cream, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love how you make it so easily accessible, you know. I mean, doodling, anyone can do some doodling if they feel drawn to it. So quite literally.
Singing, you don't have to do that in the office, but you can do it. And dancing in the kitchen is something I thoroughly recommend. If I have some music on, I just have a bit of a dance. And yeah, I'm going to confess, I've been looking up something called shuffling, and I was learning a step called the running man, which I rather enjoyed. It's not there. I can floss as well, which is a hidden skill, which I enjoy.
Cool. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, well, you know, this has been such a rich conversation, Delia. Is there anything that you would like to share with people in closing?
Goodness, that's an interesting question. Well, I'm not perfect, and I enjoy that, and nobody's perfect, and they should enjoy that, and that's a should. But choose to enjoy being the absolutely fabulous, unique, amazing aspect of the universe that you are, because the universe is not complete without you, and you're special. So find that in yourself, enjoy that in yourself, and share that with other people. Yeah, that's the thing I'll give you, and for myself as well. And I know that's right, because it's making me emotional. So yes, know how special you you are.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful and I find really healing conversation as well. So I hope it will also bring joy to other people, and I'm sure it will. Yeah. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Yes, well, I mostly have people referred to me. And recently I thought, well, if I could a couple more people, because what do I love? I love working with people and I love all the walking and stuff. I thought, no, I'd like some people. So they Googled kinesiology and they found me, and I've Googled kinesiology and I haven't found me. So I'm going to suggest that if you don't mind, that you put my email address below.
Absolutely.
I do have a website, but as I keep changing, I need to change that. It does have some photographs, so maybe you can look for my name, Delia Roughley. You will find my website, which will show you some of the photographs I have taken, and it doesn't really cover what I do because it can't, but I could put more in there, and I will. So I will set that intention. But if anyone gets in touch with me, I'd be delighted. And one of the things that I have found so wonderful is that I can work online, or I would never have met you. And I've met such wonderful people in that way. So I'm really happy, and I love working in person as well. But yes, they're welcome to try and find me. But if they don't want to find me, there are so many other people out there who can help and are happy to and would be delighted to help. Yeah. Find yourself and live your best life.
Oh, that's lovely. And well, I can only recommend to get in touch with you and have you as a guide as well. So lovely.
Well, thank you for the joyful person that you are, because being in touch with you is one of the joys in my life, and thank you for that.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.